Happy Monday, beautiful souls, wherever you are on this phenomenal planet. It is time for Shift Your Thinking Mondays, where we transform our inner experience to a phenomenal outer experience for 13 minutes of our day. Now, I may go over plus or minus in time, but I want to say thank you. Thank you for joining me today. How was your weekend? Say hi, say hello, drop a comment down below. My weekend was really productive. We got one of our properties under contract. So looks like all our escrows are going to close around the same time. So that's good. If you're new to the show, say hi. Again, this is Shift Your Thinking. This is more of our inspo, motivational, pick me up, get you through the week. Because certainly I do need reminders. Positive thinking is a ritual, it's a daily ritual. So today we're going to continue our segment from Shift Your Thinking for Success, Dean Del Sesto's Shift Your Thinking for Success. It's 77 ways, and we will be talking about eat for fuel. I love that he's talking about eat for fuel because I really been feeling funky, and that is attributed to because I've been eating crap. I know that. I've been really feeling funky, and it's because I've been eating crap. I should know better. Hey, Bruce Mena in the building. And so today we get to focus on, as you know, entrepreneurs, infopreneurs, mompreneurs, poppreneurs, boss lady, boss man. Sometimes we have to be reminded that we should not be eating the garbage because it is, again, it's what's transforming on the inside, transforming the inner to the outer. Let me bring my mic closer because last time I noticed, I was like, gosh, I sound so low. Of course, I switched it up, switched up my hair color, cut the curls a little shorter. Sometimes I do that for self, just reinventing. Who is constantly reinventing themselves? Put a 100 in the captions below in the chat. Who is constantly reinventing yourself? Me, constantly reinventing. Okay. If you haven't yet subscribed, connect, build, and share at LA Super Agent, make sure you do. Make sure you stay connected. Okay. Bruce is like, yeah, constantly inventing. We are the definition of reinvent. That's for sure. Okay, let's jump into this. Now, if you want to follow along or read ahead, listen, grab your copy of Shift Your Thinking. I don't get paid from promoting this. It's just personal and professional development. If you are someone who's aspiring to achieve goals, manifest your goals, you've got to be on top of your daily ritual. So I am really happy again that we were talking about, last week we talked about being grateful, right? That attitude of gratitude and being grateful. We talked about integrity. We've been talking about some good stuff here. So we are so far on the 8th or ninth section of this book. We've got 61 more to go. The last time I did Shift Your Thinking 200 ways, we knocked out 200 ways. And I honestly felt like a better human being for it. And this is why I wanted to bring Shift Your Thinking for Success back to the show. Let's jump into this. I'm in the section where he says, physically, are you working more optimized or anesthetized? Anesthetized. Say that 5 times, right? Are you awake, right? Are you optimized? Are you working at your optimum? Some accountability here. Looks like you're going to have to self-check. He says it may seem out of place, but I want to address the health on the front end of this book. You'll know how shifts in food intake can influence your mood. Yes, nod your head. Energy level, presence with others, and mental sharpness. It's funny, my husband and I were just talking about this last night, so he can appreciate. He's probably watching. What we were just discussing about, he was talking about wanting to do Ramadan. He said, let's do Ramadan. Let's go ahead and fast for 30 days. And so I'm like, okay, like, what do I have to do? When can I eat? When can I eat? Does that include water? So I'm going to definitely take up the challenge and do Ramadan. So we're going to do a little bit more research and do a fasting for 30 days. I believe it's closer towards the fall. So that's good. And then we were talking about, he said, how did you notice a change when you stop eating meat? I'm not telling anyone to change their diet or anything. It's just pay attention to your food intake. What are you putting in your body? What are the effects of those foods? Are you feeling sluggish? Are you feeling top of mind? Are you sharp? Okay, let's continue. He says, in our fiercely competitive workforce, right? Are you in a competitive industry? I certainly am. Brutal, especially right now. For those of you who are new to me, Lisa Gillett, also your host and known as Super Agent. I'm in real estate in SoCal. And so what I've noticed, certain pockets, right? So micro markets, there are micro markets and hyper markets that are doing really well. Other markets are starting to feel the shift, right? Not that many people at open houses, not that many showing appointments, not that many offers. So, yeah, we're starting to feel the effects of interest rate hikes. We're starting to feel the effect of the generation that, or excuse me, the group, the work from home group now has to go back home, go back to work. They no longer can work from home or anywhere. Wasn't that a great idea? People could work from anywhere. So everyone was looking for a home office. But now those folks have to go back to work. So they've just bought properties 2 to 3 hours, 4 hours, even out of state from their job. And the job is saying, you got to come in 3 to 4 times a week. How's that working out? Stressful, I imagine. So, yes, in our fiercely competitive workforce, it makes good sense to be in physical condition. So, I'm happy to say I've started the workout again. Anyone working out? You work out in the morning, work out in the afternoon or night. I usually don't like doing in the morning because I get sleepy in the afternoon. That's just my body. All right. So let me know what's your routine right now. Have you work out? Are you going to commit to workout starting today? He says it makes good sense to be in top physical condition to sustain the energy, the focus, and stamina required to excel. You can't half-ass it. Can't show up half-ass. Straight up. Okay. You need the energy, you need the stamina to be on top of your game. Top producers, top creators, top influencers. He says it's seldom talked about, but eating for exemplary performance at work will give you the edge you need to contend more handily with the challenges of work while you create more value for yourself and others. I agree. Since we've been back, I actually just did 6 laps on Friday. So I work out every other day, and I'm working out in the afternoon/evening, especially because we have daylight savings times. It gets darker later. So that works for my schedule. I really used to do it in the morning, but I also was, I felt like I was honestly losing my mind. I was going through so much stress a couple years back, and I just was exerting. I just needed to run and exercise. So I almost at times was working out 2 times a day in the morning and before I went to sleep because I couldn't sleep. But I'm in a better space now, I can say. He says, keep in mind, this has nothing to do with physical weight. No, but if you want to do it for weight loss, that's cool too. This is about training your body because training your body is disciplining the mind as well. He says, but more the emotional and relational and financial weight we put on ourselves by poor food intake and dwindling health. He says, unhealthy foods manifest as taffy to the gears of our mind. Ugh. He says a few thousand years ago, an entirely different competitive environment. I'm not sure if there was much room for physical atrophy or poor diet, hence that survival of the fittest quote you've heard from time to time. He says, you had to walk everywhere. Exactly. We're such a California, we're in a car state. Driving all the time. We're driving to the fast food place. We're looking for the closest parking spot. I purposely, because I am mindful the importance of walking, and I'm just sharing my tips, things that I purposely do. I will look for parking far away so that I get my walk in. If there's an option to take the stairs, I will take the stairs as opposed to the elevator. Of course, I'm not going to hike 10, 16 flights. If I'm in a building that high, I'm not going to do that. Which is funny because when I'm on the 4th level in our building and the elevators weren't working. And I was like, okay, I gotta take the stairs. So thankfully that worked out, bad on the knees. But think about these things that you are doing on a daily basis. Is it conducive? I always think about that. My go-to Like crap food is white cheddar popcorn and nachos. And my husband is like, man, you like kill nachos. Yes, my crap food, my go-to. So I definitely have to make sure I offset that with eating more, like he said. I definitely need to intake my veggies, more veggies. Isn't it funny that you can be an adult and still talking about eating your vegetables? Do you eat vegetables? So, all very important. So, he says, we used to have to walk everywhere, work the land to live, plowing the land, making sure we were growing our crops. He says, and the only fast food around was when you accidentally inhaled a fly while running from who knows what. And now we're in a whole different environment, right? He says, today in our fast paced, fast food world of minimal physical activity, yes, minimal physical activity, it's wise to evaluate how our physical condition affects our capacity to thrive at work, especially with all these external stressors. So we're just talking about the body, which is why I said eat for fuel. I have to remind my son this. He's going through a growth spurt, and this little guy eats, right? He's eating, and he's a very picky eater. He's selective eating, and these are things I'm conditioning him from now. You eat for fuel, not eat to get full. It's not about getting full, because now you push yourself into feeling uncomfortable. You ever eat so much and you're like, oh, like cheese, I ate too much, or I overdid it. No, because the idea is that you're eating for fuel. Remember to hold your hand up. Hold your hand up like this. This is the size of your stomach. This is the size of your stomach. Put it right here over, right? This is your stomach. That's how much food you're processing to get in here. Now your stomach gets stretched, it gets bigger. But when you think about the perspective that the size of your hand as you ball it up, that's your stomach. Think about it. All right. I know this is a hard conversation you must have with self. And I'm okay to have it with you, because I constantly self reflect. And as I'm in school right now, or again, I'm returning to school, getting my JD degree. Um, One of the things that I've been thinking about, no more alcohol. So I quit drinking last December. I don't even drink wine currently. That's not to say anything about anyone else. That's my personal choice. So I've quit drinking because I want to sharpen my mind. I know the effects of alcohol on the mind. Right now, I need all my brain cells to be firing really quickly as I am learning something new and I'm in an intense program. Okay. So think about this. Let's continue. He says there's an old saying that the world goes to the energetic. And although not entirely true, he says, I recently began to wonder how food intake affected our capacity to thrive. Is this resonating with anyone? Just go ahead and drop a thumbs up in the chat below. Just let me know. Yes, this is a hard conversation and the reality. And if you've been feeling sluggish, likely check what you've been eating. You're moving too fast, not getting enough of the good, healthy stuff. And it doesn't necessarily have to be home cooked. You can have somebody else cook for you, right? You can do meal prepping, and there's so many options right now. Let's continue. He says, I looked at my own situation and realized that when I ate certain foods, I became immobilized by mental lethargy. He says, had limited stamina and worked in a semi foggy state. And we all know this to be true, right? Because energy affects our performance, not just at work, but overall in our lives, our relationships. Do you have enough energy to play with your kids if you have any, right? Nieces, nephew, guardians, do you have energy to rock with them? Do you have the energy to be physically intimate with your partner? Do you have the energy to create more? Do you have the energy to do more? It's kind of hitting home. Thanks for the share. The worse I ate, he says, the worse it got. And by paying close attention to how I felt, I was able to see which foods gave me energy and which drained me. Which foods are giving you energy, which are draining you. He says, I took some time to consider how much those in my life were being impacted while I droned around in a food coma at various times. Put that in the comments below, food coma. Food coma, don't get in a food coma. He says, my business partners, employees, and clients were all experiencing a groggy, inconsistent, moody, semi-alert, half-committed me. I was a mess, he says. So I changed my diet, went to the gym, and I'm grateful I took the steps, as are others. Agreed. Make the commitment. Here's the principle in all this. He says, if we really take to heart how our health affects our relationships and our work performance, and how our health impacts our wealth, your health is your wealth, we will be more cognizant of what we put into our body and how we treat it. Okay, I'm going to stop here and end with this. He says, are you governing? There's that word again. Honey, you remember that? We just talked about this. I feel like I want to do a whole class on govern yourself accordingly. He says, are you governing your health for maximum business performance? Or are you working in physical deficiency and coping with it by labeling it as normal? All right. So your CTA for this week, call to action, eat well for a higher level of performance this week. So pay attention to the foods that give you energy and pay attention to the foods that drain you. Because if we're talking about being top performers, high level performers, and that is not just from an athletic perspective, you can be top level at work, just knocking out cases and transactions and closing sales. High level performance requires high level energy and foods. What foods are you eating? Food converts into fuel in the body. This is why we caption this, eat for fuel, not for full. Okay, with that, I say, I love you, love you, love you. Mwah, 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 mwah. Have a great and powerful and productive week. I'll see you next week on another episode of Shift Your Thinking.